Hello again and welcome back to the Ancient Gypsy YouTube channel. Today we are doing a Motivated Monday video. I thought I would change it up a bit, and for Motivated Monday today, I'm going to be reading for a book titled Your Best Year Yet. The author is Jenny S. Ditzler. On the cover it says, 10 questions for making the next 12 months your most successful ever. So get comfy, grab a coffee or a drink. If you're like me, you might want to grab a snack and a notebook to take some notes. And we will get right into it here shortly. Awaken your can-do attitude. Within every successful person is an ordinary person who found the courage, heart, and discipline to act, to face the big challenges, and to make dreams come true. The life you want is yours for the taking. This unique, best-selling guide from a successful corporate coach shows you how. Jenny Ditzler has helped thousands of men and women achieve new milestones of personal and professional success over the past 20 years. Your Best Year Yet is a fun, proven, interactive workshop in a book that offers a transformable, goal-oriented program based on 10 simple questions. These straightforward, life-changing practical steps will help you make this year and every year the best year of your life as you achieve greater income, fulfilling relationships, physical wellness, time for what matters, a satisfying career, and spiritual abundance. That was just the back cover, and it sounds very promising. I haven't read this book either yet, guys, so we're both going through this for the first time and experiencing it together. So without further ado, let's flip this baby open and read how to use the book. How to use this book. Page XII. Both the public and corporate workshops are half-day events. But over the years, many people have been doing the workshop on their own, usually taking about 3 hours to get through the 10 questions. Watching them succeed so well on their own helped me realize that this really can be a simple do-it-yourself process. Many people create their best year yet plan in January so they can plan the calendar year ahead. But the process of reflection and planning can be done at any time of the year with equal success. Don't think of this book as a book that's only about January through the December. If you're reading it now, then now is the time to answer the questions. Believe you can do it and get on with it. This book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, an introduction to the principles on which Best Year Yet is based, as well as sharing the experiences of many people who have participated in the process over the years. Part 2. Each of the 10 questions has its own chapter in which I review the background material and provide further explanation to help you answer each question for yourself. Part 3. Your own Best Year Yet workbook with space for you to answer each of the questions and write your own one-page plan for the next 12 months. You have your own style of doing things, and depending on what that is, pick your approach to your best year yet from these options. Option 1. Turn immediately to Part 3. Start answering the 10 best year yet questions if you want to help, or explanations as you go along. Turn to the chapter in Part 2 that relates to the questions you are working on. Option 2. Read Part 1 and Part 2 as preparation for a workshop, perhaps making notes as you read. When you finish, set aside 3 hours and write your answers on the questions in Part 3. Whatever your choice, enjoy the journey. So, to avoid confusion, we are probably just going to be reading through Part 1 and 2, possibly occasionally visiting the questions in the back of the book as we read through the book, but we're probably just going to work from front to back, and I'll be sharing that with you as we go. The turning point. The idea started on New Year's Day in 1980 when my boyfriend, now my husband, Tim, and I woke up in our flat in London. We'd been working in the UK for less than a year and living together only a couple of months, having met shortly after we both arrived from the States the previous spring. Perhaps I needed a bit of distraction, as I'd given up smoking the night before and had made such a public fuss there was no turning back. Or maybe it was the thought of a new decade ahead. Who knows? But for the first time in ages, I began to think a bit more seriously about the year ahead. And before we even left our bed, I suggested we run a marathon that year, and Tim agreed. This was the only goal I remembered setting that year, probably because we hadn't decided to stay together and thinking ahead was a tentative business. We weren't really at the point of planning a life together. We picked the Paris Marathon, scheduled for May. The goal may not seem unusual today, but 1980 was a year before the birth of the London Marathon, and the sight of a runner on the road in England, particularly a woman, was reason for staring and pointing. We started to train, and although we'd been in the habit of jogging a couple of miles several days a week, we were told we needed a new regime and would work us up to over 50 miles a week in the last month before the marathon. Gradually, we began to lengthen our pre-work circuit of Bishop's Park and Fulham to runs over Putney Bridge, up the Tow Path, under the Hammersmith Bridge, and on until we reached whatever point was halfway to our target time for the day, then turned back toward home along the same route we'd come. It was hard work. By mid-March, we began to see the end of winter mornings and were starting to feel better about it all. As we talked with friends, some of them became interested, and soon what began as a ridiculous conversation on the first day in January took on a life of its own. In the end, nearly 100 of us went to the Paris in 2 buses, had a great time, and raised thousands of dollars for charity. But it was painful beyond belief. I thought it would never end. And for Tim, it was even worse. We ran the entire marathon side by side. At mile 20, he was in such agony and so delirious that after a water stop, he started running back toward the starting line. But we did it. And the feeling of confidence and elation at having set and achieved such an outrageous goal lasted long past the finish line. I learned, above all, how to keep going, and in doing so found new strength and ability I didn't even know I had. I know I would never have discovered this if I hadn't forced myself to go for this goal. By following New Year's Day in 1981, Tim and I were engaged to be married. Still the same rented flat, and starting to think about planning the year ahead. We had a good year. The marathon had definitely been a big thrill, but little else had really changed. Late in 1980, we decided to try to buy a place of our own, and in the process discovered that between us we had a negative net worth. It hadn't proven easy for either of us to build a career in London, and although we weren't too depressed about it at all, the path ahead was not clear. When the time had come for me to transfer back to the United States, I had left a good job because I wanted to stay with Tim, but I hadn't found another one. We'd also had many long conversations about whether he really wanted to stay in the business world. We were happy together and having a good time, but we were both broke most of the time, allowing ourselves one monthly treat of dinner out at a local restaurant. But looking back, it's easy to see that New Year's Day in 1981 was really a turning point for us. It's on this day that the Best Year Yet workshop was really born. Although I didn't start to lead the workshop for others until the following year. As we sat down to plan the coming year, common sense guided us to create this process. Before we started to think of the year ahead, it seemed natural to review 1980 and what had happened for each of us. Expecting the worst, we both found that we'd accomplished far more than we thought. We started to feel a bit more enthusiastic about ourselves and what lay ahead, an experience which, by the way, has proven to be the case for nearly everyone who participated in the Best Year Yet program over the years. By the end of the day, we each set over 100 goals. 1981 was definitely the best year yet for both of us. We were married, ran 3 marathons, and each of us started a business, both of which are still going today. Still, we ended the year with a low score because the sheer number of goals we had set made the achievement of all of them impossible. When it came time to pass the idea on to others, it was obvious that having so many goals made it impossible to keep track of even half of them. The exercise has now been simplified to help us find our top 10 goals, and the whole process takes about 3 hours. But setting our goal of running a marathon for the first morning of 1980 was the start of a new way of living for us. And once I turned the process into a workshop, more people had the chance to do the same for themselves. Together, we all found out a great deal about how to use our brains and our common sense to learn more from the past year and make the best of the year ahead. Well, we still haven't made it completely through the intro, but I am positive we will get there. If you have enjoyed today's Motivated Monday video, do not forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. I work very hard on these videos, and I am trying to get to my first 500 subscribers, so if you can help me with that, I would greatly appreciate it. And to never miss a video, do not forget to hit the bell button. Until next time, thank you for watching Ancient Gypsy.